The arm is titanium, state-of-the-art, a masterpiece of modern engineering. But that is not what makes people stare. What makes people stare is what has been carved into it. Names. 17 names. Etched deep into the metal. Each letter precise. Each name a life. Each carving a wound that will never heal. Staff Sergeant Marcus Johnson holds up his prosthetic arm under the studio lights. The names catch the light. They seem to glow, like they are alive, like they are watching, like they are waiting for something. He is 36 years old. He lost his arm in Afghanistan 8 years ago. He has the arm he lost, and he has the arm that replaced it. The arm with the names. The arm that carries his brothers. The arm that will not let him forget. Oprah looks at this man, this Marine, this survivor. She sees the weight he carries, not in his shoulders, in his eyes, in the way he touches each name, like a prayer, like a confession, like an apology. Staff Sergeant Johnson, she says, those names on your arm, can you tell us about them? Marcus looks at the names. He traces them with his flesh hand. 17 men, he says. My squad, my brothers. They died on August 14th, 2016, in an ambush, in a village whose name I still cannot pronounce. He pauses. I was their leader. I led them into that village. I gave the order to advance. And 17 of them never came home because of me. He looks at Oprah. I carved their names into this arm because I need to carry them. He says, wherever ye go, whatever I do, they come with me. They will always come with me. His voice cracks. But that is not why I am here. Oprah leans forward. Why are you here? Marcus reaches into his jacket pocket. He pulls out a folded piece of paper, worn from handling, stained with something that might be tears. Because 2 weeks ago, he says, I received this letter from the wife of one of the men I killed. And what she wrote destroyed everything I thought I knew about that day. He unfolds the paper. She said her husband did not die because of me, he says. She said he died because of what he chose to do. She said I've been carrying guilt for 8 years for something that was not my fault. He holds up the letter, and she wants to tell me herself. She is here, in this studio, waiting to face me. He looks at the audience. I do not know if I can survive what she is about to say. But I have to hear it. I have to know the truth, even if it breaks me. How do we get here? Rewind 8 years. August 14th, 2016. Aix-en-Provence, Afghanistan. Staff Sergeant Marcus Johnson led a squad of 18 Marines into a routine patrol. Routine, the most dangerous word in combat. Because nothing is routine. The village was supposed to be cleared. Intelligence said it was safe. Intelligence was wrong. They walked into an ambush. IEDs on every path. Snipers in every window. RPGs from every rooftop. Chaos. Fire. Death. Marcus made decisions in seconds that would haunt him for years. Advance here. Fall back there. Cover this position. Abandon that one. Each decision right in the moment. Each decision wrong in hindsight. 17 men died. Marcus lost his arm. 1 Marine survived. A private named Thomas Wilson. He was the youngest in the squad. He made it out because Marcus dragged him. Through fire. Through blood. Through the bodies of their brothers. Marcus saved him, but he could not save the others. And for 8 years, he had lived with that failure. The dreams. The flashbacks. The names carved into his arm. The guilt that never stopped whispering. You killed them. You led them to their deaths. You are alive, and they are not. He had tried everything. Therapy. Medication. Support groups. Nothing worked. Because the guilt was not irrational. It was based on a truth he could not escape. He had given the orders. They had followed. They had died. That was the math. That was the reality. That was the weight he would carry forever. Or so he thought, until the letter arrived. Subscribe and leave a comment because the most powerful part of this story is still ahead. The letter had arrived on a Tuesday. An ordinary day. Marcus had been making coffee, going through the motions of living, the way he had learned to do. The envelope was handwritten. No return name. Just an address in Kansas. He had opened it without thinking. He had read the first line, and his world had shifted. Dear Staff Sergeant Johnson, the letter began. My name is Emily Santos. I was married to Corporal Daniel Santos. He was one of the 17 men who died in Rajankala on August 14th, 2016. Marcus's hand had started shaking. "I've been trying to write this letter for 8 years," Emily continued. 8 years of not knowing what to say. 8 years of carrying something that I think you need to know. He had sat down. His legs could not hold him. "My husband did not die because you led them into an ambush. My husband died because he made a choice. A choice he wrote about in a letter he gave me before that deployment. A letter I did not open until 2 weeks ago because I could not face it." Marcus had stopped breathing. Daniel knew, Emily wrote. He knew that village was dangerous. He had intelligence that contradicted what you were told. He knew there was a high probability of ambush. And he chose not to tell you. The words swam before his eyes. He chose to go anyway, because he believed that if the ambush happened, he could save most of the squad. He believed his experience, his skills, his sacrifice could make the difference. He wrote that he could not live with himself if he let you walk into a trap without doing everything he could to get the others out. Marcus had started crying. Daniel's letter said he knew he probably would not survive. He said he had made peace with that. He said his only regret would be if you blamed yourself for something that was his choice, his sacrifice, his decision. The letter continued. "For 8 years, I have watched you carry guilt that does not belong to you. I have seen your interviews. I have seen you blame yourself. I have seen you carve their names into your arm like you're the one who killed them." Emily's handwriting became shakier. "You did not kill them. Daniel made a choice. And the others followed him. Not because you ordered them. Because they trusted him. Because they believed in what he was doing. Because they chose to sacrifice themselves so that at least one of you could make it home." She had underlined the next sentence. "Thomas Wilson is alive because of what they chose. You are alive because of what they chose. Stop carrying their deaths like a burden. Start carrying them like an honor." She had signed it simply. Amy Santos, widow of Corporal Daniel Santos, proud wife of a hero. And at the bottom, she had written something else. "I will be at the Oprah show. I need to tell you this in person. I need you to hear it from me. I need you to finally be free." Behind the scenes, Oprah made a decision that defied every producer's expectation. She stood up. She walked to the audience. She stopped at row 7. She extended her hand to a woman, 34 years old, dark hair, eyes that had cried too many tears. But also something else, determination. Emily Santos took Oprah's hand. She walked to the stage. She stood before Marcus Johnson, the man who had led her husband into an ambush, the man who had survived when her husband did not, the man who had been carrying a guilt that was never his to carry. They faced each other. 8 years of separation, 8 years of grief, 8 years of a truth that had been waiting to be told. Marcus spoke first. "I am sorry," he said. His voice was broken. "I am so sorry. I led them there. I gave the orders. If I had known, if I had listened, if I had been better, Daniel would still be alive." Emily shook her head. "No," she said. "You would be dead, and Thomas would be dead, and the ambush would have killed everyone instead of almost everyone." She stepped closer. "My husband knew," she said. "He knew before you gave any order. He chose to keep it from you because he knew you would cancel the mission. He knew you would try to find another way. And he believed there was no other way. So he made a choice for you. He made a choice for all of them." She pulled out a piece of paper. "This is his letter to me," she said. "The letter he gave me before he deployed. The letter I was supposed to open if he did not come home." She unfolded it. "May I read it?" Marcus nodded. He could not speak. Emily began to read. "My love, if you are reading this, I did not make it home. And I need you to understand why." Her voice was steady, practiced. She had read these words 1,000 times. "There's an operation coming. A village patrol. The brass says it is safe. But I have sources. I have intel. It is not safe. It is a trap." She looked at Marcus. "I could tell the staff sergeant. I could get the mission canceled. But that would just delay it. The village would still be there. The trap would still be set. Someone else would walk into it eventually." She turned the page. "So I made a decision. I'm going to go. I'm going to position myself where I can do the most damage when the ambush springs. I'm going to buy time for the others to escape. I'm going to save as many as I can." Her voice cracked, but she pushed through. "I know I probably will not survive. I have made peace with that. My only fear is that Marcus will blame himself, that he will think he led us to our deaths. That he will carry guilt that belongs to me, not him. She looked at Marcus. If you ever meet him, Emily, tell him the truth. Tell him I made a choice. Tell him the 17 who died made that choice with me. We knew. We all knew. And we chose to go anyway. Because that is what Marines do. We do not let our brothers walk into fire alone. She folded the letter. She held it out to Marcus. Take it, she said. Read it yourself. Let it replace the guilt you have been carrying. Let it set you free. This is the moment no one in the studio and no one watching at home ever saw coming. Marcus took the letter. His hand was shaking so badly he could barely hold it. He read it. Once. Twice. 3 times. And then something happened. Something no one expected. He fell to his knees. Not in grief. In release. In the sudden lifting of a weight that had crushed him for 8 years. In the understanding that he had been carrying a burden that was never his. Emily knelt beside him. They held each other. 2 people who had lost the same man. 2 people who had grieved in different ways. 2 people who had finally found each other. And found the truth. They did not choose to die because of you, Emily said. They chose to die for you. For Thomas. For each other. That is not guilt. That is love. Marcus wept. 8 years of tears. Finally released. Finally allowed. Finally making sense. He looked at his prosthetic arm. At the 17 names carved into the metal. He touched them. One by one. But this time, something was different. This time, he was not apologizing. He was saying thank you. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Rodriguez. Thank you, Chun. Thank you, Williams. Each name. Each brother. Each sacrifice. Finally honored instead of mourned. Share and subscribe. Make sure this story is never forgotten. The episode aired 1 week later. It became the most watched episode of the year. Not because of drama. Because of truth. Because of the weight that lifted. Because of the guilt that transformed. Millions of people watched Marcus Johnson be set free. Millions of people recognized their own guilt. Their own burdens. Their own weights that did not belong to them. They saw that sometimes the truth can arrive 8 years late and still change everything. The Marcus Johnson Foundation was established within months. It helps veterans carrying survivors' guilt. It connects them with the families of those they lost. It facilitates the conversations that need to happen, the truths that need to be told, the burdens that need to be shared. It has helped over 6,000 veterans in its first 3 years. 6,000 soldiers carrying weights that were never theirs. 6,000 survivors learning that survival is not betrayal. 6,000 hearts beginning to heal. Emily Santos serves on the board. She speaks at events. She tells Daniel's story. She tells the story of 17 men who chose to sacrifice. She tells the story of one man who carried guilt that was never his. And she tells people the truth. The dead do not want us to suffer. They want us to live. They want their sacrifice to mean something. And it cannot mean something if we destroy ourselves with guilt. Marcus returned to service. Not as a Marine. As a counselor. He works at VA hospitals. He sits with veterans who cannot sleep. Who cannot forget. Who cannot forgive themselves. He shows them his arm. The 17 names. And he tells them his story. He tells them about Emily. About Daniel's letter. About the truth that set him free. And then he asked them a question. What truth are you refusing to hear? What burden are you carrying that belongs to someone else? What guilt is keeping you from honoring the people you lost? Sometimes they answer. Sometimes they do not. But they always hear. And something always shifts. The 17 names are still on his arm. But they are different now. No longer a monument to guilt. A monument to love. To sacrifice. To the men who chose to give everything. So that Marcus could live. So that Thomas could live. So that their memory could live. There's one final detail that most people do not know. When Marcus and Emily left the studio that day, they walked out together. Into the sunlight. Into a world that looked different than it had that morning. They stood on the sidewalk. Not knowing what to say. Not knowing what comes after revelation. Then Emily reached in her bag. She pulled out something else. A patch. Military issue. The patch Daniel had worn on his final deployment. She pressed it into Marcus's hand. Daniel would want you to have this, she said. He believed in you. He trusted you. He gave his life so you could keep leading. She closed his fingers around it. Keep leading, Marcus. That is how you honor him. That is how you honor all of them. Marcus looked at the patch. He looked at Emily. He looked at the sky. And for the first time in 8 years, he smiled. Not a performance. Not a mask. A real smile. The smile of a man who had finally been set free. Subscribe to this channel so you never miss another story like this. Because there are more truths waiting to be told. More burdens waiting to be lifted. More veterans waiting to be free. And somewhere out there, someone is carrying guilt that does not belong to them. Maybe it is you. Maybe it is time to hear the truth. Maybe it is time to let the dead speak. They do not want your guilt. They want your life. They want you to live. They want their sacrifice to mean something. Let it mean something. Honor them by surviving. Honor them by thriving. Honor them by finally being free.